Hi everybody, it's Karen at Simply Living for Him, and I am doing this live video to finally announce that my new book called Home, Finding Joy in Letting God Lead Your Homeschool, second edition, is now available at Amazon. And it has been a long process. It has been a long road to get this going. And today, every single obstacle has come in my way to get this book out there. So I'm hoping that means that this book is going to be really needed and is going to be something that is going to be a blessing. And perhaps that's why I had so many obstacles in trying to get it out there. It's been a work in progress, but it is finally available in a paperback edition at Amazon. The Kindle edition is almost there. I'm having so much trouble with it. If you go on Amazon, I think you will see the Kindle edition there. I would hold off on ordering the Kindle edition, give it another day because I want to make sure that it's correct. So I've just been having so much trouble with this book, but I'm so glad that it is here. I wanted to talk to you guys about the book. I'm going to show it to you and just talk to you a lot about how this book even came about and why I revised it and why I updated it and why I wrote it. I think I originally wrote it back in 2012 or 13 and why we have revised it and done it over. So let me show you the paperback book. Okay, so I know you're going to see it backwards. So let me turn the camera around so you can see it. Let's see. Okay, so I got my retreat stuff here to show you next. So this is the paperback edition called Home. Now this is the old book. I have it here. So see, we updated it to look a little bit fresh. And I'll even explain the colors because that's important. But the most important thing about the new edition is the journal at the end. So if you remember, let me put it back. If you remember, the original called Home had 31 verses for praying for your homeschool at the end of the book. When I updated it this time, I really have changed that part because I don't want anybody to ever listen to me, okay? I want you to ultimately listen to God. So when I included the 31 verses originally, I included them in a certain translation or, I just included them there. This time, I took out the actual verse and I just included the reference so that you could look it up on your own because over the years, I have become more passionate about women getting in the Word and women getting in their Bibles. So I figured if I take out the verse, you can't just kind of read it and go by it. So I put the reference so that you can look it up in a translation of your choosing because everybody likes different translations. And then I've included, I'm going to turn it around again so you can see it in a minute, but then I've included a whole journal section. So you could either copy the verse yourself or you can write down, what the Lord is speaking to you through it. And we've included space for that. So I'm going to show you again the journal section of the book. Okay, so here's at the end. It's kind of hard to hold my phone and do this at the same time. But here's the end where we have the 31 verses, so each day a different verse, but places for you to look it up and you to really spend time with God. And then even after that, there's some more questions, some writing prompts that you can see at the end in this journal section. It's a beautiful journal section. And this is the book, revised. Okay. Let me get back on here. So a couple things have happened since I wrote the original called Home. We grow over the years. So much has happened since I wrote this book. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the backstory, even to why I wrote this book and how this book came about, because quite honestly, I never had any intention of writing books. To put it honestly, I never had any intention of homeschooling. So it's just so funny that I'm talking about homeschooling, writing about homeschooling, all these things. But as many of you know, I have an amazing story of how God has worked in our family through homeschooling. And I started homeschooling, we're on our 11th year now, and I started homeschooling as, oh, my son just came in the kitchen. I started homeschooling when my oldest daughter was just entering kindergarten, and now she's in 10th grade. So over that original time when I felt like God was calling me to homeschool, I didn't want to homeschool. I had no intention of homeschooling. It wasn't on my radar. I was not any of the things I thought you needed to be to homeschool. I wasn't neat. I wasn't organized. I wasn't a teacher. I didn't go to school to be a teacher. And I felt like, who am I to try to, be disciplined enough and organized and have everything in order? Because homeschooling, those are like super moms. Oh, great. Okay, so that's live video. I'm getting a phone call, so hopefully it didn't get cut off and we're still going. Yes, fellas, I got all my boys here. Okay, so they're listening. So anyway, I started homeschooling. It's a whole big long story, but what I want you to know is I never intended to homeschool, but God intended me to. And He put me on this path. And because of Him calling me to this journey, which is about so much more than education, I have seen His incredible power work in our family and in our homeschool. So, okay, that first year when I started homeschooling, I talk about this at conventions and I tell the whole long story, but I won't bore you guys with the whole story. But the gist of it is, I decided that God was calling me to do this. And my husband was on board, except this was, you have to remember, like 11, 12 years ago. And homeschooling at that time was not like it is now. At least I didn't know about it that much. And I really thought it was weird. So here, hi, now I'm the weird one. But I really thought that it was just weird, and I didn't want to be weird, and I didn't want to stand out and do something that was different and strange. Now, I love it, and I love being weird. But back then, it was a prideful thing. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want people to ask, about why I'm homeschooling. And I really didn't have concrete answers as to why I was homeschooling, other than I felt that God was calling me to do it. I didn't want to. I was trying to run away from Him, but He kept calling me. And I just knew deep down that He was calling me to this journey. I didn't know what I was getting into. I had no idea. And face it, I wasn't equipped, but He equipped me. And so, long story short, we decided we were going to homeschool, and then I had a major obstacle. My parents were very against it. And that's a whole nother long story, but my mom always worked in public schools, so she only knew public school. To her, homeschooling was like so foreign. So I decided that, we were going to tell her and tell my parents, and I knew it would be difficult, but I figured we'll just do it for 1 year. We're just going to try it for 1 year. So we did. And when I told my parents, it was far worse than I imagined. They were very, very upset. And I honestly didn't think I could homeschool because I didn't want them to be mad at me. And I wanted to keep our relationship close, and I didn't want to do this weird thing. So anyway, fast forward a little bit. We did decide to homeschool. We did tell my parents we were doing it. It was very rough. They were very, very, very against it. And I decided that I would just go ahead and do it. So I really felt like God was telling me that year that I need to follow Him and not man. That even if my parents were so against me, and even if they never spoke to me again, I had to follow Him. And do you know how hard that is? Like, to really get to that place where you're like, these are my parents. Like, I don't want to choose to do something that they're going to be so disappointed in me. But I really felt like God was calling me to do it no matter what. So I stepped out and I obeyed. And after that first year, we were loving it, and it was great. And as time went on, my parents, like, we just, instead of fighting about it and yelling and screaming, we just sort of didn't talk about it. And it became kind of like weird because it was like this big elephant in the room. So I think it was in 2008 or 9 that I decided I was going to put together one of these blogs that I had seen other people writing about different things in their life. I had no idea at that time what a blog was. Like, I just thought it was you wrote about your life and you kept a little journal. And actually back then, I think that is more of what it was. So I started keeping this online journal, thinking that this way I can show my parents in kind of a non-confrontational way, like, look what our kids are doing every day in school. And I didn't have to feel like we had to have this weird conversation, but yet they could see that their grandkids were actually learning, and we were not just, keeping them sheltered in our house. We were actually doing fun stuff. So I kept this online journal, and I started kind of rekindling the love I had for writing back when I was younger. And, excuse me, so I just started writing this online journal and, sent the link to my family and friends and said, check out what we're doing in our homeschool. And that's all I thought it would be. Fast forward again. Lo and behold, the way the blog world was going back then, people were reading blogs. And somebody's video bombing again. So people were reading blogs, and people started to read my blog, and I started to get some followers. I started writing for some other websites because I loved writing, other homeschooling websites, and things kind of snowballed. And eventually I ended up speaking about homeschooling on an online conference. I was terrified. I was like, I have no business doing this, but I really felt a heart to share my story and encourage others. So I did that. And it was called Simply Homeschool. And after I did that online presentation, I sort of turned it into this little ebook called Simply Homeschool, Having Less Clutter and More Joy in Your Homeschool. And I published it and, on a PDF and put it on my blog to sell, and people were buying it. And they were, really into this whole idea of simplifying homeschool. So then, from there, a couple people wrote me and said, can you put the book on Kindle, because I'd like to read it on my Kindle. Now, I didn't know how to do that. I had no idea. I just kind of fell into it. So my husband, who is the graphic designer and the publisher and all the stuff for me, he said that he would try to figure it out and get it on Kindle for us. So he did, and I thought, great, now those 2 or 3 ladies can read the book on Kindle. So anyway, it ended up being not 2 or 3 ladies. It ended up becoming a bestseller on Amazon and #1 for homeschooling for a couple of years. And I had no idea that was going to happen. Because if I had known that was going to happen, I would have written it a little bit better. I honestly just made this little ebook, put it out there, had no idea, did not have an editor, nothing. So I was blown away that so many people were encouraged by it, but yet I wasn't prepared for that because I didn't know that it was going to sell thousands and thousands of editions. So after that book had gone out, I had decided to write the original called Home. This was my second book. And this was all about letting God lead your homeschool, because I had seen what happened when I stepped out in obedience and realized that this homeschooling thing was not about me. It has nothing to do with me. I can't do this on my own. I'm not equipped. But I saw that when I stepped out and obeyed and followed Him, my homeschool became so much more than I ever thought it would be. It's about so much more than academics. It's so much more. It's a calling. It really is. So I wrote this book, and again, I kind of just put it out there and, my thoughts, and this book has really become something to me that has blown me away as well, because I've started speaking at homeschooling conventions, and I speak at the Teach Them Diligently conventions, and I've spoken at state conventions. And when I go to these conventions, people will come up to me and say, I love your book called Home. I bought a whole bunch of copies and gave it to our homeschool group. And now our women are getting together weekly and reading your book together. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, that blows me away. So it's kind of scary. So anyway, I decided the past few years, Called Home has gotten great reviews on Amazon. And I've always had great feedback. But then there's those comments on Amazon that say, I love this book and I give it 5 stars, but there's so many typos. I need to take out my red pen. Yeah, somebody wrote that. And for somebody like me, I'm crushed. I'm like, oh my goodness, they didn't know. I wasn't trying to be some big author. I was just writing a book to encourage. I'm sorry. I made so many mistakes. So, fast forward again. I wrote a 3rd book last year called Real Homeschool, Letting Go of the Pinterest Perfect and Instagram Ideal Homeschool. And you will not believe this story, but I was praying about, I want to put this book out there, and I don't want to get all those negative comments about the typos and the grammar and everything's not perfect. Hear a book about not being Pinterest perfect, but you're writing a book, you want it to be of excellence, you want to do it well. So I was praying about what to do because I really wanted somebody professionally to edit it, but I didn't even know where to begin. I don't have a really big budget. I'm just a mom in ministry here. So I was praying about it, and I get this comment on my blog. This is the honest truth. This woman writes me, who's an editor and has her own company, and says, it was on the post about the book coming out, the project I was working on. She says, I love the idea of what you're doing to encourage homeschooling moms, and I'm an editor, and I would love to edit your book for free. And I'm like, oh my word. So it was such a godsend and such a confirmation to me of what I'm doing. And, so many times I'm like, who am I? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. But I feel like God just keeps pushing me further. And he gave me this editor. So this year, when I was, I was really getting to be kind of convicted about this book, about Called Home, that, so many people are reading it. And I want to put things out there with my name on it and do them well. And I want women... I also want women not to just listen to me, but I really want women to glean some information from me, but not to follow me. I want them to follow God. So that's why this journal was so important to me, because when I found out that people were getting together in groups and reading it together and discussing it, I thought I can put this journal in the end with questions, and when they get together, they can kind of write things down and they can use it that way. And I also took, like I said, the verses out and just put the reference so that women can get in the Word on their own, so that women can look up the verses. I don't want to spoon feed you the verses. I want you to get in the Word and look up the verses. And these are all verses that I chose that I thought would be encouraging for homeschool families. But I, don't want to be the one telling you what to do. I want God to be the one. So that's why I revised the journal. So, of course, I contacted the editor again this time, and I felt like I could put the book out there and be more confident that it was something of excellence and it has integrity and, the typos are gone and the grammar is correct and, I'm just a human. So it was just perfect that God put this woman in my life. So I hired her for Called Home. She's amazing. She's on a missions trip in Greece, and she was still working on the book for me. And so it's been a labor of love. It really has. And I have prayed about this book. And I have prayed that God would put it in the hands of exactly who needs this book. And I pray that the people that have been blessed by it, that you could spread the word now and share this new edition with your friends. Because like I said, when I speak at conventions or I meet other families, they'll say, oh, I love your book. I recommend it to all the homeschooling moms I know, or I recommend it to the new homeschooling families because it's especially good for new homeschooling families, but it's especially good for reminders for all of us. Hi, Michelle. You said you loved the first edition. Thank you so much. I'm blown away by the feedback that I have gotten from that first edition. So I am just so excited about the new edition because, like I said, I can feel good about it. I have only ever gotten these great reviews on Amazon, but then there's those few in there scattered about that would say, well, I'd give it 5 stars if it didn't have so many mistakes. So anyway, I didn't want mistakes. So, I mean, I'm just being real here. You guys all know me when I talk or I tell stories. I'm not trying to pretend I'm someone I'm not. I make mistakes, so I needed the editor. And so, the Called Home. You know what I love about the second edition? Okay, so Steve, my darling husband, who puts up with me because I'm like, I want to update the cover a little bit. You know, I want it to look the same so people recognize it, but I want it to be different because it is a second edition. So, you know, what could we do to make it different? So I'm like, you know, everyone who knows me knows I love sunrises and sunsets. So I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool if, you know, this one's all like blue. But now for the second edition, we can make it like a sunset and all. So he works hard. He puts this whole thing together and he sends it to me, and the sky's like fiery orange in the original picture that he sent me. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, ooh, that looks scary. It almost looks like fire. So I have to tell him, like, I know you did all that hard work, but can you change it again and make it look more gentle and more peaceful? So my son is wrapping Christmas presents. So anyway, he comes back to me. You know, I'm like that client I said that's, you know, a thorn in his side, because I'm like, I know you work so hard, but now this cover looks scary. I don't want to scare people away and make them think something bad about homeschooling. I want it to feel peaceful. So he came back with, you know, I know it's hard to see the colors on here, but he came back with this cover, and it was so funny because I post pictures on Instagram and you guys see them, but so many times the sky out here where we live turns this like beautiful pink at sunset, and in the sunrise in the morning it's like this beautiful pink, and it honestly matches this book. Like, I look out the window and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's Called Home in real life. So that's a little bit about the cover. If you'll notice too, in the new book, I know it's hard to see because it's backwards and everything, this book is 128 pages. So this book is, and you know, a lot of it at the end though is a journal. So there is a journal included, and with all nice lines for you to write in and to write your thoughts. But it's been updated a little bit. I update in there. Oh, I forgot to tell the story because I updated that in here. God is so amazing what he does and what he has done through our homeschooling journey and through me obeying. So I told you in the beginning that my parents were so against me homeschooling. And I honestly almost didn't homeschool because I just didn't want to disappoint them, and I didn't want them to be mad at me. And I know I'm an adult, but I still want my mommy to love me and be proud of me. And she always loves me. But we're very close with our parents, so I didn't want to have this weird thing. And over the years, after I wrote that, you know, online journal that I was talking about before, and she started to see that, you know, homeschooling was working for our family and it wasn't as bad as she thought it was. When I spoke at Teach Them Diligently in Atlanta, let's see, it was 2 years ago now, I was going down there to speak for the Teach Them Diligently convention, and I showed up. Well, okay, so I was going to Atlanta, and I'm a big baby. I didn't want to go by myself on the plane. So my daughter came with me, and my mom and my dad offered to go. And I was like, you're going to come to a homeschool convention and hear me speak about homeschooling? So they were like, yeah, sure, we'll join you. So they hopped on a plane with me to Atlanta, and we spent several days together in Atlanta at a homeschool convention. Like, you don't know how huge this is. They were so against me homeschooling. So just them going with me and showing that support was amazing. And while we were there, I didn't know they were going to come and listen to me speak. I kind of thought, oh, they'll come and fly down with me and travel with me, but then they'll do their own thing. I gave 4 sessions in Atlanta. They came to every single session. And which was kind of weird because I'm like, Mom, I'm going to tell the story about how you guys were mad. And she's like, no, you tell the story. You tell everybody. So in the final session of Atlanta, it was a session for new homeschoolers. And I was encouraging them to keep a journal. And I was encouraging them to journal their thoughts as they were just beginning homeschool. And I had the journal with me that I kept the year I decided to homeschool. And I wanted them to hear an excerpt of that journal, so I started to read from it. I didn't even recognize the girl that wrote these things in this journal. And I'm reading, and the things I wrote, I'm saying, God, why are you making me do this? I don't want to homeschool, but I know that you're calling me to do this, and my parents may never speak to me again. And I love my parents, but I'll do this because I love you, and I know you want the best for me. And I look up as I'm reading that journal, and I'm getting teary-eyed now because it was the most surreal moment of my life. As I'm reading those words, I look up, and my parents are sitting in the audience listening to me read these words. And it was like we came full circle. In that moment, there was nobody else in that room but them and me and the Lord. And he was like, look what I've done. Look what I have done. They are sitting here watching you. And not only watching you, supporting you. So they're crying, I'm crying, the whole audience is crying. And when it was over, my mom said to me, I regret all the time that was wasted. It took 10 years for us to come around and support you in this. I could have helped you. And I looked at her and I said, don't regret it. This is how it was supposed to be, or we wouldn't have had this beautiful moment that we just had. We wouldn't have had this moment of like, look what God does when we obey him. And that is what the epitome of this book is about. When we obey God and we take ourselves out of the equation and we follow him and not what we want, he blows the doors off of our plans. He has blown the doors off of my plans. He took a little young mom like me who had no idea what she was doing, put me in this position not only to homeschool and to have an amazing experience being able to spend the days with my family. It's about so much more than just home education. He has shown me that when I follow him, he can do abundantly more than I ever asked or imagined. To take someone like me who would like tremble at the thought of talking in front of people and put me at these conventions now where I speak, and I love it. And I love meeting with other people, and I don't feel that it has anything to do with me. It's all about sharing what he has done. So that is what the epitome of this book is. When you follow him in your homeschool and you sort of weed out all that other stuff, I mean, the world is telling you you need to have the best curriculum and the best this and the best that, and academics are the most important thing. Academics might be important, but following God for me is so much more important. And I truly believe that if I'm following him and I'm seeking him in every decision in my homeschool and in my family, I'm seeking him about curriculum. I'm seeking him about, what method of homeschooling to choose. I'm seeking him about doing a co-op and not choosing all those things and then asking him to bless my choices. I'm seeking him in every single decision, and I realize that he's got this. I could never be successful at this on my own. I have no idea what I'm doing on my own. But with him, anything is possible. And I truly believe that if he wants you to homeschool, even if you think that you're not equipped or you don't know what you're doing, or, so many people tell me, I can't homeschool because I'm not organized, I'm not a teacher, I'm not disciplined, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this. I'm like, neither am I. I am none of those things. But God has called me to do this, and he equips me every single day. I'm telling you, right now we're in chemistry. 10th grade, it is not a joke. It is so hard. And I sit at this table with my daughter, and there are days where I'm like, Lord, what am I doing? And this amazing peace comes over me. And he gives me the patience to sit there and to say, okay, Lord, show us how to do this. I know my daughter's not going to be a chemist, but we have to get through the class. So it's just amazing when you let go of yourself and you walk with him and let him take over, the amazing things that can happen. This book has been just such an amazing thing for me to see how people have connected with it. I'm hoping that this new updated one, like I said, I wanted to feel good about it. I wanted an editor to look through it. I wanted it to be done well. And I wanted to include the journal. And for some reason, I have had so much trouble this week getting this book out there, I can only believe that the reason I've had so much trouble is because God is going to blow the doors off of whatever plan I had for this book and get it into the hands of exactly those who need it. So it is available at Amazon in paperback. Whenever I speak at conventions, like at Teach Them Diligently, I will be in Atlanta this year. I will be in Nashville. I will be in Arkansas. We're not doing Ohio this year, which I'm so sad about, but we'll be at the other 3. I always bring the book with me so that other people, so that people can see it. I don't sell them at the conventions, but I bring it with me. So if you want to see it in person, I will have it there. And then like I said, whenever I speak somewhere, I bring it with me. Actually, that reminds me, I'm speaking locally next month in January. I'm speaking right at my church in Chester, New Jersey. And I am doing a Simply Living for Him workshop. It's just a one afternoon day for ladies, and it has nothing to do with homeschooling. So that's just all about my passion for living simply, to follow God, to be a woman who is in the Word, to put Him first in everything, to get rid of clutter, to get rid of distractions. So we are having a one-day workshop. I'll have these books there as well for anybody who wants to see them. And that is in Chester. And if you are coming, I need a count. So if you have heard me talk about it or you've seen it on the blog, go over to the Simply Living for Him Facebook page. There is an event there that says Simply Living for Him workshop. Please click going if you are coming. Don't click interested, because I want to know that you're coming. If you're interested, click interested. If you're not sure if you're going. If you know you're going, click going, so I have a correct amount. Oh, Pat, hi. You wish you could come to the workshop. Oh, you live too far. Well, you're in a warmer climate, though. I'm freezing. Let's pray it doesn't snow in January, so this workshop is a success. But we are only asking for a $5 donation, but you don't even need to do the $5 donation. You can just come. I would never turn anyone away. That's just a suggested donation for, covering costs of things. But it's basically a free workshop. It's for any woman, not just homeschooling women. It's for any woman who wants to be it's 21 where you are. It's about the same here, if not less. It's for any woman who wants to be encouraged, who wants to seek Jesus. It's a great time to do this because, New Year, everybody's always like, oh, I'm going to declutter, I'm going to purge, I'm going to do this. Well, come to the workshop because I'm going to be talking about the remedy to clutter and chaos, which I believe is Jesus. The more we seek Him, the less we will desire of this world. And we will be talking about being a woman in the Word. My life has been transformed by God's Word. I desire every woman to be as transformed by His Word. And so we'll be talking about those 2 main topics. And then we're going to have a time of worship. My friend Robin Miller, she led worship at our Simply Living for Him retreat in the summer, she's coming to do worship. And we will have refreshments included, and we will have prayer time, and we will also have some informal discussions, just like Q&A about getting rid of practical ways to get rid of clutter. But the 2 main sessions are all about the heart and how we can really focus on Jesus. So if you're a woman who wants to know more about Jesus, if you're a woman who loves Jesus, or you just want to get away for the afternoon with your girlfriends and sort of just focus on how you can live more simply and get rid of clutter, then this would be a great opportunity for you. That is also, it's sort of like a little taste of our Simply Living for Him retreat. Last summer, as all of you know, because I talk about it all the time, just because it was that great, I held a Simply Living for Him retreat. I think that was another humongous example of letting God lead and stepping back and taking myself out of the equation. Because I decided I wanted to have this time. I speak at homeschool conventions, but I write on Simply Living for Him about so much more than just homeschooling. And I thought, I would love to have just women where we could all just talk about living more simply and getting rid of clutter. And quite honestly, I would have loved to invite everybody to my little farm here and have a day where we just talked about living simply, but I can't fit everybody here. So I started to think where could I have this retreat? And I started to look around and I didn't really get any ideas. And then I remembered that we went away a couple years ago to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, to the most beautiful place ever. The lodge is at Gettysburg, in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. If you go on the blog, you'll see all about it. And we held our first Simply Living for Him retreat. The whole time I was preparing for this retreat, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to cancel this. I don't know what I'm doing. And I kept feeling like God was saying, you don't know what you're doing, but I do. And boy, did he ever. We had the most amazing weekend. 33, I think it was, women got together in beautiful Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, in a beautiful location without all the distractions of this world. We talked about getting rid of clutter. We talked about living simply, but mostly we talked about seeking Jesus. And we worshiped. Oh my goodness, the worship was beautiful. We prayed together. I just can't talk enough about it. Anyway, I have these brochures that my husband made, and I'm going to make it so it's not backwards for a second. Oh, Pat, you love Gettysburg? Oh, it is gorgeous there. So these are our brochures. If anybody would like some for your church, some beautiful pictures of our lodges and all the ladies that were there, all my 33 new best friends. And see, our theme this year is Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. So if you have anybody that you would like to give a brochure to, let me know. I'll send them out to you. Pat, you said, oh yeah, I read that there. You can't come, but you would love to pay for 5 ladies who can't afford to pay. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my goodness, Pat, that's amazing. Do you guys see what God does? His people pour out love that he gives them. That just reminds me about the retreat. We have a giveaway right now for a ticket on the website. One of the attendees from last year just felt on her heart the same thing, that she wanted somebody to be able to go that maybe couldn't afford it. So she has paid for a ticket for somebody out there. And she truly is like, I mean, just letting God's love come through her. So if you would like to come to the retreat, I'll tell you 2 things about that. If you would like to come, enter to win the contest. It ends this week. It ends on Friday. You'll get a free ticket to the retreat. And the ticket includes some of the meals. We had a beautiful lunch and breakfast last year. We had a refreshment reception on the first night there. We also had a bonfire, and we got to make s'mores and all kinds of fun stuff. Snacks are included through the whole retreat. You're not going to go hungry. And like I said, some of the meals are included. All of the sessions, the worship, the praise, the prayer time, the fellowship, all that's included. The lodging is not included, but the lodges at Gettysburg today actually emailed me a special discount to stay on site. These lodges are gorgeous. When I say lodges at Gettysburg, I know it sounds kind of rustic and rural, but they're not. They're beautiful. And if you go with a bunch of ladies, it's actually very affordable. So all of the information is on the website. They're like tiny little houses. Each lodge is its own separate little house. So picture like a beautiful hotel room in a little house. And they all have kitchenettes, so you can bring food, and it can be very affordable. So anyway, the contest ends on Friday, the 23rd. So one lady will get a ticket, and that is from a secret sister at Christmas time that has graciously donated that ticket. If you don't win the contest but you want to come, please register soon, because the prices are going to go up as we get closer to the event, and I need to have a head count, so I need to sort of do things early. So please, if you are planning on coming, don't wait until the prices go up, because I would hate to see people have to pay more. The prices will go up at the end of this month again. They were already really low. Now they're going up a little bit every few months. So the retreat is being held July 13th to the 15th. It's a Thursday evening to a Saturday late morning. The reason we're doing it Thursday to Saturday, number one, you get a bigger discount on your lodge. So that makes it even more affordable, because we're not doing it like Friday to Sunday. They're giving us an even bigger discount. Number two, you can be home on Sunday to worship at your church and your home church. Or, you can stay in Gettysburg longer. It's a great place to visit. You can even bring your family if you don't want to travel by yourself. Bring your family and you can attend the retreat during the day. And we end it like dinner time on the first full day. And you can spend the evening again with your family and they can go out sightseeing while you're at the retreat, unless you just want to come alone. We get that too. But if you come, my kids will be there. My husband will be there. You'll have plenty of people to hang out with for your family, so it'll be fun. So, yes, Gettysburg, Pat was saying, Gettysburg is such a beautiful location. The lodges is like the perfect place for this retreat. It's set up high on a hill that overlooks all of Gettysburg. The sunrises and sunsets, which I said are my favorite thing, are so breathtaking. There is no better place, I feel like, to just sort of decompress and get rid of distractions. We used to call it in the beginning like an unplugged retreat, and we're saying like, don't use your phone, but I don't want to police anybody. If you want to be unplugged, you be unplugged. If not, you don't. I mean, we were all taking pictures the whole time just because it was so much fun. But anyway, that's a little bit about the retreat. So please, if you are planning on coming, enter the contest. If you don't win, try and get your ticket as soon as possible because the prices are just going to keep going up. So that's the Simply Living for Him retreat. But again, this book is my heart. It's like my heart spilled out in words. And it's all about the journey that I've been on. When I think I'm doing this thing in my own strength is when I fail. When I think that I know what I'm doing is when I fail. When I think that I've got it under control is when I fail. When I realize that God is in control, that is where I find joy. When I realize that God will equip me for His purposes, not mine. I want to be doing, His will, not what I want. And sometimes that's hard. And when I realize that He will provide all the strength that we need for this walk, for this journey, that is when I feel that I can be a successful homeschooling mom. And like I said, the journal at the end is new. So the book is like much bigger than the old one. And it has been updated. It has been edited professionally. It has been revised. Like I said, a few of the sections I updated. I tell the story about my parents coming to Atlanta. I kind of updated a little bit in here. I wrote this before I started Bible-based homeschooling, my other website. And so I sort of updated it to talk about how we use the Bible as our main text and about that website. So I updated a few sections. Mostly it's the same gist of the old book, but, updated a little bit here and there, revised, and then, of course, the journal is brand new. So please tell your friends. It is available on Amazon.com. For all of you who have read the first edition, thank you so much. Thank you for writing me and encouraging me and telling me that it has blessed you in some way, because that blows my mind. When I get these emails and say that this little book that I wrote, like sitting down in my family room in my old house, just thinking no one would ever read these things, it blows me away that God would use my words to help anybody else. So it's all about Him. It's not about me, because I don't know what I'm doing. But He does. That's like my new motto. I don't know what I'm doing, but He does. And I also wanted to just say, for anybody who reads Bible-based homeschooling or Simply Living for Him, I've been quiet lately. I haven't posted as much new stuff. It's been a crazy time. I know you guys all know. I used to do the live videos on Bible-based homeschooling every week. The podcast has been quiet for the past 2 weeks. It's been a crazy time. There's just been so much going on personally, with friends, family, between funerals. We've gone to way too many this year, and sickness and health issues and testing and all these things. So I'm hoping 2017 is going to be a brighter year and is going to just see more growth for this ministry, and that I could kind of, practice what I preach and not be distracted by all these things that are going on, because it's been hard lately not to be. So I apologize for sometimes being quiet on the blog and sometimes not being able to post as much, but You know, we have different seasons in our life, but I hope to focus more in 2017. So I am just thrilled that I finally got this going, because I told you so much has gone on to get this on Amazon. I don't know why. I put books on Amazon before and it's been a breeze. This one has given me trouble. So I can only hope that that is because maybe Satan knows it's going to bless other people out there. So go over to the website. Today I just updated the post, and I put down that the book is available, so you can get it, you know, on the website there, but it'll take you to Amazon. Or you can go over to Amazon, and the paperback edition is there, and obviously that's, if you're looking for the journal one, the paperback edition is like the one you're going to want. And then the Kindle is just about ready. I think it's ready, but I would wait a day if you're going to order the Kindle version. Yeah, they've been giving me problems over there. I love you, Amazon, but today there was a lot of issues. Does anybody have any questions about the book? Does anybody have any questions for me about my story, about anything, about the retreat, about the workshop over in Chester? Because I want to talk to you guys. I feel like I have just vomited words for the past 45 minutes. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments now before we turn off the live video. And, oh, Pat, thank you for saying that you miss me. It's nice to be missed, I guess. Aw. Sometimes I think nobody even notices. But, yeah, I so many things. Like, I'll say I'm going to do the live video today on Bible-based homeschooling, and either the Wi-Fi wouldn't work, or we were just having I can't even tell you so many things. And I mean, I know so many people are having so many things, and we've seen so many tragedies in people close to us lately that it's just been hard to keep up with everything. But I'm really hoping that 2017 is going to be a better year. So if there's any other questions about the book, you'll be hearing a lot about it in the next few days. I'll be posting about it, hopefully. Hopefully the Kindle edition will get out there. And what else can I tell you? Any questions about the retreat? My son just came in. What is that?
This is my Ewok.
Oh, he's you want to show everybody? I can tell he wants to show you his Ewok holder. So he's got an Ewok tied around him like a baby Bjorn. That's Johnny, and he's our little ham. And when he finds out that I'm doing videos, he likes to try to get in them somehow. So, oh, Pat, that's so sweet. You said you're sitting here shaking your head, agreeing like we are talking together. Well, Pat, you'll be at Teach Them Diligently, right? Because I'm going to come find you and give you a big hug, because now I do feel like we get to chat. See, technology's cool. It introduces people and connects people. And you know what? It's amazing. Even with the retreat last year, I thought all this has come about. You know, people will say technology and Facebook, it's not good and all this, but that whole thing came about because I started writing a blog. And I have connected with so many people that I would never connect with before. So it's just amazing that social media can be used for good. I'm going to plug my phone in here because I'm afraid it's going to die. So 1 second. I'm so bad at keeping my phone charged. Is that still? No, now you can't see me. Okay. Oh, good. You'll be at all three that I'll be at. Awesome. So, yes. Anybody else out there, I'll be speaking at Teach Them Diligently, which is like my favorite convention to speak at this year. So I hope that you would be there. And if you're going to be there, come and say hello. Like I said, I'll also be speaking locally January 14th in Chester and New Jersey. And I, in February, will be speaking actually in Chester about building a community on social media. And that's going to be also at a writers group in Chester. That you can find all the information on the blog. And then I'll be speaking in March at Atlanta. No, March is Nashville and Arkansas. In May is Atlanta. And then July is the Simply Living for Him retreat, which I pray you would all go. I'm telling you, it is an amazing thing to get together with other women, and especially when you come from all different places and you get together and you have so much in common. I mean, you're all so different. Everybody came from such different places, but we all had the common denominator that we were seeking Jesus, and we wanted to kind of hang out with other women and be real. I was like, it doesn't matter what you wear, how you look, just come to the retreat. I just am so about letting down all those facades and just being real and hanging out and sharing together and worshiping together and all that fun stuff. So if there aren't any questions about the book, you can always ask them later, even after this video is not live, because I come back and I check the comments. So please, you can put in the comments. I'm also going to link all the things that I talked about. I'm going to link to the book in just a moment. After I am done. I can't do all those things at once, so I'll do it after I am done with the video. And I'm going to link to the retreat. I'm going to link to the giveaway so that you can win a ticket to the retreat. I will link to the book. There was something else I was going to link to. I don't know. That was it. So anyway, ask your questions later if you have any. And if you ever have any questions or feedback about the book, please feel free to email me anytime at Karen@simplylivingforhim.com. And I think I'm finally out of things to say. So I will see you guys next time. I hope that you will buy the new book and it will encourage you, and you will be able to share it with your friends. If you've read the first one, just tell your friends about the new one. It's been updated, revised, edited, and it has a journal section also. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.